Welcome back to this video lecture on wireless communication. Hope the previous videos part 1 and part 2 were helpful to you. In this lecture, let's discuss few more problems on cell architecture and sectoring. So let's begin with solving a university question. If a signal to interference ratio of 15 dB is required for satisfactory forward channel performance of a cellular system, what is the frequency reuse factor and cluster size that should be used for maximum capacity if the path loss component is A, n is equal to 4 and B, n is equal to 3. Assume that there are 6 co-channel cells in the first tier and all of them are at the same distance from the mobile. Use suitable approximations. So let's write down the given values first. The signal to interference ratio is given as 15 dB and they have mentioned that there are 6 co-channel cells in the first tier. That means the interfering co-channel cells I0 is equal to 6. And they have asked us to find Q and N for two cases, for the path loss exponent 4 and for the path loss exponent 3. Here Q is called as the frequency reuse factor and N is the cluster size. So in the previous video I have told you clearly what is Q and what is N. If any doubt in that, you can refer to understand what is the frequency reuse factor and what is the cluster size. So now let's proceed with the solution. The signal to interference ratio is given as 15 dB. First, let us convert this into a ratio value. The decibel should be converted into a ratio value. So for that, we have to take antilog of the given value by 10. So for which you get the answer as 31.623. The signal to interference ratio is given by the formula square root of 3n raised to the power of n by I0. So now let's substitute here the given value. The square root of 3n raised to the power of, here for the first case the path loss exponent is 4 divided by I0 is given as 6, which is equal to 31.623 we have found out earlier. So now from this equation let us solve and find the value of n. So let's do this step by step. So in the first step, what I have done is I have taken the 6 to the right hand side. So I get square root of 3n raised to the power of 4 is equal to 31.623 into 6, which is equal to 189.738. So in the next step, we are supposed to remove this power. So both my RHS and LHS I'll raise to the power of 1 by 4. I'll get the answer as square root of 3n is equal to 3.711. Now to remove the square root, let us square both sides. So I get 3n is equal to 3.7745. From this we get n is equal to 4.59. Normally when we solve and get a value like 4.59, what we will do is we will round it off to the next higher value. But that cannot be done here, because your n can have values like 3, 4, 7, 9, 12, 13. Because n here is nothing but the cluster size, it can have values like 3, 4, 7, 9, 12, 13, etc. So since the value what we have got is 4.59, so the next possible size is 7. So my n should be at least 7 to get a signal to interference ratio of 15 dB. Only then I will have a satisfactory channel performance. Next, let us find out Q. So Q is the frequency reuse factor, which is given by square root of 3n. So in the previous step, we have found out the n value of 7. So substituting here and solving, we get the Q value as 4.583. So for this particular question, the frequency reuse factor is 4.583 and the cluster size n is equal to 7 when the path loss exponent is 4, in order to obtain a satisfactory performance. So let's do it for the second case when n is equal to 3. It is exactly the similar procedure. So let's proceed with. So the given values are written. Interference ratio is 15 dB. So let us convert it and we get it as 31.623. And using the same formula, here the only difference what we have to do is in the path loss exponent. Earlier case it was 4 and now it is 3. So making the necessary change here, square root of 3 and raised to the power of 3 by 6. Let's proceed to find out n. In order to get square root of 3 and raised to the power of 3, let me say take my 6 to the right hand side and I get the answer as 189.738. Now let's raise it to the power of 1 by 3 so that my root 3n will be equal to 5.746, and now squaring on both sides I get 3n is equal to 33.019, and from this I derived my n as 11.0064. So here again we have to remember the same point. What will be the possible cluster size? Now we have got it as 11.064. So the next possible cluster size is 12. So my cluster size should be at least 12 in order to get a satisfactory performance. That is my signal to interference ratio of at least 15 dB. Now using the same formula, let us find the value of Q. So Q is equal to square root of 3n, and just now we have found out the value of n as 12. Let us substitute here. So Q is square root of 36, which is equal to 6. So my answer is Q is equal to 6 and n is equal to 12 for the path loss exponent 3. Before we proceed with the problems on cell sectoring, let us understand quickly what is sectoring. Cell sectoring is a technique used to improve the capacity of a cellular system. When a cell becomes congested with more number of users, it is divided into sectors like this so that the capacity of my cellular system can be increased. So we have two types of sectoring, 120-degree sectoring and 60-degree sectoring. In 120-degree sectoring, a cell is divided into three sectors like this. So the angle here will be 120 degrees. Whereas in 60-degree sectoring, what we do is, a cell is divided into 6 sectors like this, and each sector will be served by a directional antenna. A directional antenna will be placed here so that it will be providing service to this particular sector. So using directional antennas will give us the advantage of minimizing the number of co-channel interfering cells. So what are the points to remember with respect to sectoring? Without sectoring, we know that our I naught, that is the number of interfering cells, is equal to 6. So when we do 120-degree sectoring, the number of interfering cells will be reduced. So by what factor it gets reduced? So when we do 120-degree sectoring, we have 3 sectors. So 6 by 3, my number of interfering cells will become 2. And when we do 60-degree sectoring, we get 6 sectors. So 6 by 6, I'll get the number of interfering cells as 1. So what do we infer here is sectoring reduces co-channel interference. That is, the number of interfering co-channel cells is reduced. For 120-degree sectoring, it becomes 2, and for 60-degree sectoring, it becomes 1. At the same time, it also decreases the trunking efficiency, which is also a point to be noted. So now let's proceed with the problem. This is again a university question. A cellular service provider decides to use a digital TDMA scheme which can tolerate a signal to interference ratio of 15 dB in the worst case. Find the optimal value of n for omnidirectional antennas, 120-degree sectoring, and 60-degree sectoring. And the fourth question they have asked, should sectoring be used? If so, which case should be used? Assume a path loss exponent of n is equal to 4 and consider trunking efficiency. So let's see how to solve this problem. Let us write down the given values. The path loss exponent is given as 4 and the signal to interference ratio is given as 15 dB. They have asked us to find n, that is a cluster size for 3 different cases, that is 120-degree sectoring, 60-degree sectoring, and for omnidirectional antennas. And also they have asked which type of sectoring will be advantageous if at all we are using sectoring. So solving this problem is similar to the previous one which we have discussed earlier. So in the first step, we are supposed to convert the dB value into a ratio value. So for that, we'll take anti-log of 15 by 10 and you get the answer as 31.623. So in the first case, we are supposed to derive n value for omnidirectional antenna. When the antenna is omnidirectional in nature, it is capable of radiating in all directions equally. So the number of interfering cells in the first tier will be 6. Now using the formula S by I is equal to square root of 3n raised to the power of n by I naught. Let's substitute the values here. So square root of 3n raised to the power of 4 by 6 is equal to 31.623. So let's solve this in the same way we have done it in the previous case. So let us take 6 to the right hand side, multiply and raise it to the power of 1 by 4 to get 3.711, and squaring both sides we get 3n is equal to 13.7745 and we get n is equal to 4.59. So hope you all remember the next possible cluster size is 7, because we know the possible cluster size is 3, 4, 7, 12, 13 and we have got 4.59. So the next possible cluster size is 7. Let's repeat this for the second case. So 120-degree sectoring. Now let us determine n for 120-degree sectoring. For 120-degree sectoring, the number of interfering cells, as we have discussed earlier, I0 will become 2. So let us consider the formula. S by I is equal to square root of 3n raised to the power of n divided by I0. Let us substitute the values. So we have square root of 3n raised to the power of 4. That is the path loss exponent is given as 4. So raised to the power of 4 divided by 2. That is, the number of interfering cell is now reduced to 2. So you get, which is equal to 31.623. So let me bring this 2 to the right hand side, and solving, I'll get my square root of 3n is equal to 2.82. And let me square on both sides now. So 3n will be 7.9524 and n is 7.9524 by 3, which is 2.65. So now what should be the size of my n? The possible cluster size is 3, 4, 7, 12, 13, etc. So the next possible cluster size is now 3. Therefore, n is equal to 3 for 120-degree sectoring. Let's repeat this for the third case, that is 60-degree sectoring. So for 60-degree sectoring, what happens? My I0 becomes 1. So remaining procedure is exactly the same, with my denominator changing here as 1. So let us find the value of n here. So square root of 3n raised to the power will be equal to 31.623. Let me remove this power by, take raising it to the power of 1 by 4. Squaring both sides, I get 3n is 5.62 and n is 5.62 by 3, which is 1.87. So here again, the lowest possible cluster size is 3. N should be at least 3 in order to maintain the signal to interference ratio of 15 dB. So for all the three cases, we have found out the n value. Now the fourth question was, should sectoring be used? If so, which case, 60 degree or 120 degree should be used? Consider trunking efficiency. Now let's see how to answer this particular question. When we do sectoring, what happens? The cluster size is decreasing. See, already in the previous video lecture, I have told you, as we decrease the cluster size, m will increase. M is the number of times the cluster repeated. Okay, so when sectoring is used, the cluster size becomes 3. So the capacity will increase by a factor of 7 by 3, so which is 2.33. So by using sectoring, our system capacity increases, so sectoring is preferred. Now, which one should we use? For both cases, the capacity is going to remain the same. Then, which one should I choose? So that I have to analyze considering my trunking efficiency. So as we increase the number of sectors, the trunking efficiency will decrease because the available trunked channels will be less for 60 degree sectoring. Therefore, 120 degree sectoring is preferred. With a small example, let me explain you how to present your numerical problems neatly in the university question paper. So when a university question like this is asked in a university question paper, the first step is write down the given values from the question, read the question once again and understand what is to be found out, and write down that and write the formula, and then work out the solution step by step as shown here. And most important thing is to highlight the answer. So once you have got the answer, highlight it clearly. So for this particular question, they have asked only one value. If at all they are asking 2 or 3 values, at the end of the problem, write down all the answers what you have found out and highlight them neatly. You can use a box to highlight the answer. So hope that was useful, my friends. So keep learning, keep growing, never stop learning. Ask a lot of questions. Always seek knowledge by asking questions. The more you ask, the more you find. The more you seek, the more you search, you find more answers, and your knowledge also accordingly increases. And as the popular saying goes, without hard work, we cannot achieve success.